Good evening, everyone. I think today's gospel gives us a good opportunity to think about the obvious tensions that we as American Catholics face, especially in the midst of this tumultuous election season. One of the topics that gets tossed around recently is, what is Catholic identity, Catholic conscience, or what is a Catholic vote? What does it mean, then, to be Catholic? The Catholic faith is based upon a historical, profound, mystical, and incredible event. And that event is when Christ became man. That is the essence of our faith. That is the central belief of the Catholic understanding. And this event occurred at what we refer to as the Annunciation, when the Blessed Mother was visited by the Archangel Gabriel and was told that she would bear in her womb the Son of God. It is at this event where Christ, the eternal creator of the cosmos, enters into his own creation. And as our faith and science would both agree, it is at this moment that God himself became personal to humanity fully from this very moment of his conception. It is at his conception in the womb of the Blessed Virgin Mary that Christ overcomes the chasm that was created between humanity and God at the fall of Adam and Eve. And it is at his conception that Christ is able to forever bind within himself humanity and divinity, never to be ever separated again. And it is by virtue of his conception that we have available to us a forever present and forever available relationship with the divine, with God himself. And so to claim that the one-cell zygote is not a human person has implications that is ultimately irreconcilable to the very premise of our redemption. And so any individual who claims to be a Catholic and yet denies the personhood of the embryo to the more developed child in the womb categorically denies his or her faith as well. Such a person would deny the very essence, the very fundamentals of what it means to be Catholic. We Catholics are pro-life for many reasons, many social and many moral reasons. But essentially, what makes us Catholic is contingent upon the idea that life begins at conception and that the author of life himself, God, enters into our world at a conception, in conception. And it is at conception that where our redemption begins. And so let me reiterate that any individual, yes, especially a public figure like a politician, that if he or she were to deny the personhood of the child in the womb, logically and categorically would not be able to consider themselves to be Catholic. And this is paramount to understand because we are entering into a season in our society that is riddled with mixed messages and confusion, even among prominent and so-called Catholic figures. And so let me be abundantly clear. One cannot be Catholic and be pro-choice, or to cooperate with a pro-choice agenda. Such positions are not only morally exclusive, but as I mentioned, they are theologically irreconcilable to our faith. And so it is profoundly hypocritical on many levels, not just a moral one, but even at the level of faith, for a politician of any caliber to say that they are personally against abortion and yet promote and contribute to the agenda that leads to the killing of innocent lives. I myself, certainly and obviously, am not a politician. I'm not a psychologist. I am not a sociologist, nor am I a scientist. I am a priest of Jesus Christ, and I am here to preach to you about the person of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ reveals to us who we are as human beings because he himself is the author of our race. He is the author of life. Jesus Christ reveals God to humanity, but he also reveals humanity to ourselves. And at the beginning of his humanity, his conception, he shows us that the human person, you and I, have a profound dignity from the very moment of our conceptions. Christ, in becoming one of us, by assuming the human mind, by assuming the human heart and the human frailty, shows us the great dignity that each person has, from the one-cell zygote to the 3-year-old child, to the mature individual, to the aged and the infirmed. And we have to realize, therefore, the great tragedy that the denial of personhood of a specific demographic of our society has created in our culture and in our nation. To say that the child in the womb is not a person is certainly a crime against our moral convictions, but it is an indictment as well on our faith. And we as Catholics with firm conviction and belief in the real and total reality of the incarnation of Jesus Christ that reveals the dignity of the human person and our redemption, we therefore have an obligation to live with integrity and authenticity our faith and to defend life at every spectrum of society with the revelation that Christ has shown us about our dignity. Most proximately, we do this with our votes. And I know that there are many issues that our country faces in the upcoming election. Believe me, issues of immigration are profoundly personal to me. But I would rather deal with the collateral of having some of my own loved ones face a difficult immigration policy and circumstances than to have one more innocent life taken under the disguise of personal rights. If the most vulnerable amongst us, a child in the womb, if their rights are not protected, then how can I expect the rights of the poor, the rights of the sick, the rights of the immigrants, the rights of the aged, and the rights of the persecuted to be inherently protected? The preeminent human right is the right to life. And without this right safeguarded and protected, then all other rights become capricious and are ultimately at jeopardy. Our morals teach us this, but also the action of God himself and the work of his redemption reveal this profound truth to us. And we cannot claim to believe in the incarnation of the Son of God and profess this week by week with our creed that we will say in a few moments, while we simultaneously allow individuals who use the Catholic identity to pander to God's people simply for votes. We must defend the truth of our faith and protect it with great zeal, and live by it, and protect it with great reverence from any political usurpation. It is never easy to be Catholic in any society, because ultimately we are citizens of another kingdom, and no government and certainly no politician or political party will ever satisfy our divine expectations. But while we journey here, we must do what we can to live totally by our faith, that which we hold to be the greatest truth, and to promote the good that it reveals to us. If we fail to do so, my brothers and sisters, if we fail to do so, if we only live our faith privately and not act on it, then our faith risks in becoming only pious ideals that essentially will become fictitious stories that will become a legend and will be forgotten in generations to come. but rather with our actions, with our love, and certainly with our voice for those who have none, we have the opportunity to bring Christ into the world once again, to save lives, not just natural life, but eternal life, and to promote the common good within our society. I urge you, do not leave your faith at the door at the election booth, and instead, I ask you to vote with the greatest conviction that you hold dear, with the convictions and the revelation that Christ has shown us through his own coming into the world at conception.